G'day, Big Al story here. Uh, I watched a video this morning about a serial killer, and it gave me an idea for a story. And it's immediately I thought that is another story I'm not going to have time to write out. But I do this thing sometimes where I just write a bit of a script in my head. I get it 75% done, and then I just say it to the camera. And it's basically, I'd say it's acting. Yeah, so just be warned, I'm about to act. And last time I did this, a few people got confused, maybe because I'm such a good actor, they got confused and thought the act I was doing was me, and they like reached out, and which I love. I love that people caring for me. And they're like, "You're right, bro." And it can be seen as weird. It can be seen as a bit crazy to act. I think actors are a bit crazy, and I have a history of mental health, so I'm glad that people are reaching out. I'm going to jump into this story. I already recorded it once, but there's a massive hole in the story, so I'm doing it again. Okay, so when I clap my hands, I'm going to be a different character. And just let me think. Okay. Breath acting. Hey, Cindy. Thanks for, we've been doing this video back and forward for a few years now, and I really appreciate the relationship we've built. But I've got to come clean with a few things. And I know I've told you, and you've been really open and understanding about my job. I've just said that I work in a psychological job, and I do, but I work in a maximum security prison. And so yeah, there you go, straight off the bat. I've never told you that. We've been doing our video chats for, I don't know, a long time now. And I think I feel I have to come clean. And I had a really rough day at work today. I don't know if I want to call it rough, but I had a big day at work. So what happened is there's a guy there. I work in maximum security. I work with some pretty down low sort of people. Not nice people. There's one in particular who he passed away this afternoon, and it's moved me in a few different ways that I didn't think it would move me, and I really appreciate our relationship and the fact that I can come to you with this. So I feel a little bit guilty. I feel a bit of remorse for not letting you know that's actually what my job is. And now that I've told you that's what my job is, I think you can connect a few of the dots and see. Well, I've told you, I work in a psychological sort of environment, but yeah, I think a few more things will make sense now. So this guy, I'll tell you a little bit about him. So he was a serial killer. 15 years ago, he was locked up. And he killed about to do respect to his victims, it wasn't about anything. The only reason we would say it is about, an approximate number, is because he has the power to say, oh yeah, I might have killed a few more, I might not have. And that still digs at me in this moment. But there's 12 people that he has accounted for, and 12 people he randomly killed. And the thing that gets me is the randomness. And I was really angry when I started this job 15 years ago, and I basically got there when he got there. So we've been in for the same amount of time. And his randomness of the killings annoyed me. And he would see a woman, young girl, 17, 18, they were walking, he'd pick them up and he'd do what serial killers do. Then a month later, he'd go and he'd see a guy, not on the side of the road, in a pub, say a few things, entice him away from the pub and kill him. There was another one where he didn't use his charm or anything, he just snatched someone up and took him and did what serial killers do. And because he didn't really have a style, it was harder for the authorities to catch him, basically. But that's not really what bothers me. The thing that bothers me is the randomness itself, and the fact that it used to annoy me, and now I'm starting to believe maybe I'm a bit random. So I'm, as you know, I'm the sort of guy that, and my daughter, I don't know how my daughter puts up with it. My wife didn't. She left me, and you know that. But like, I've got rosters, timetables on my wall here now. I get out my ruler, I rule lines, I look and feel organised, very much the opposite of random. And then what I put in those rectangles, when I really think about it, it's not random. Or is it? It's exactly random. I just fill it up with whatever I want. There's no structure, Anyway, the point is, I was angry when I first met this guy that he was so random, and now I think maybe I'm a bit random. And an example, when I got to the job, I was working in the fire department on a higher paying job position, and I said, no, I want to work in high security. I want to work in this particular spot. And I wasn't random at all. I was like, that's where I want to work. That's where I'm going. And that's what I did. My friends and family, my wife, like, well, why? It's ridiculous. And it wasn't random. It was very organised, very structured. I got this job. And then, yeah, I guess this afternoon I'm questioning, maybe I'm a bit random. I fill up my timetable with what I want to fill it up with, Those holidays that I've told you about over the years, like 6 months, a year in advance, I block it out, a nice little neat rectangle in my timetable, ruled up with an old-fashioned ruler. Like I write spearfishing in there. I don't know why I write spearfishing in there. If I left it 6 seconds, I might put skydiving. I might put relaxing. I have no idea I don't know how I fill up these rectangles, and it scares me that I could be as random as a serial killer. So that's playing with me a little bit this afternoon. But I do really appreciate our relationship, the fact that we can both go back and forward with this, what's on our mind. Another thing, he, like a lot of serial killers, thrives on attention, and he definitely did when he first got in, first was put in jail. And the newspapers came out, and he loves his newspaper articles, and he's not allowed to keep them in certain spots, but he has a box, and legally we can't do anything about it. I know that if I burnt those pieces of paper, he would do everything he could to kill me. And I'm not even joking. So he thrives on attention, Yeah, and those newspapers, and I've had to explain to him, I was like, mate, he's not my mate, but I said to him, newspapers, they don't really exist anymore. Or they do, and even if your face was on the front of it with the word murder under it, no one would really know, no one would really care. And we've sat and argued, and I've brought newspapers in, and he loves them. But I've had to argue and say that people don't really read them. And then he's been interviewed, and he loves the attention of being interviewed. But I've lived with this man for probably longer than I've lived with my wife. We're not together anymore, as you know, but I got to know this man really well. And when he was getting interviewed, they'd interview him for 6 hours, the longest one was, and they thought, oh, we've got to the core of this guy. And I was like, no, you have not got to the core of this guy. You've got to the core of his attention. He's loving the attention that's happening here. You haven't got to the core of the guy. You've got to the core of his attention. Anyway, and I think the reason I'm bringing this up is because I've always felt I don't do things for attention. And yeah, maybe I do. And maybe he doesn't do things for attention, because I've seen him eat. If you really want to know someone where their mind is and what's happening, watch them eat. And I was like, this guy thrives on something that's not attention as well. And that's irked me over the years. I don't know how I eat. Sometimes I know he enjoys his food more than me, and I really want to punch his. It frustrates me. We've had our fair share of arguments. My daughter got me into Snapchat. She's trying to get me another wife. God bless her soul, my beautiful daughter. But she's trying to get me another wife, and she showed me Snapchat, and it's interesting. But I explained Snapchat to my friend in jail, and we got into an argument. And I said, well, to begin with, he was frothing at the mouth, and he was like, so people can add you. And I could see it clicking in his mind immediately. He's like, so the victims find me, I don't have to find them. They just the randomness of it, he was just like, get me Snapchat. And he was really open to the idea. I was like, mate, you're in maximum security prison, you're not getting Snapchat. But we turned into an argument, and I said, once you take the picture of yourself and you send it, they look at it, and then the picture disappears. And he's like, what? And he got angry at that, and we fought about it. And then he said, where do they go? And I said, there is an opportunity to save it if you're quick enough. But he goes, what if I don't? And I said, well, it disappears. And he's like, he was just as, we argued, and he said, they have to go somewhere. And I said, no. I said, you'll have to go speak to Mark Zuckerberg. And he's like, who's that? And I explained that to him, but it didn't really make much sense. But anyway, his concept of the internet is pretty old. And yeah, so I used to think he thrived on attention, and now I'm not so sure. And with myself, I'm not so sure whether I thrive on attention. I always thought I didn't, but I'm not sure what I thrive on. But I know I'm a little bit similar to this man. Yeah, and everyone, when he first came in, everyone was saying, oh, he lacks so much remorse. And I've watched him eat so many times, and I can see the remorse, and I can see the enjoyment when he eats and in other moments. And I was thinking, this man is resourceful. This man is remorseful. And I was fully convinced when I got there that he was not remorseful. He's very cold-blooded, typical serial killer, and he is remorseful. And I thought I wasn't sure what I thought I was, but now I think I might lack remorse for him sometimes, for anyone. and I can be calculated, and I can just decide to do things. When I make my timetable, I draw a rectangle. I could put anything in there, and I wouldn't know why, but I know that I'd follow through and I'd do whatever was put in that rectangle. If that rectangle said, cut my own hand off, I'd probably do it without thinking. And I'm not sure the remorse I'd feel. I'm not even sure I'd feel it. But I really do appreciate our relationship. Yeah, all those years ago when we met in the Snapchat room. When we met in the, well before Snapchat, in the chat room. Yeah, like quite seemingly random that we would meet that long ago. But yeah, I really appreciated our relationship. Yeah, and it's something I've got to tell you. Yeah. So my son went missing many years ago, about 17 years ago. And it's this man that I'm talking about today. He's the man that killed my son. Nobody knows that. I do. He doesn't. And I put in my calendar that he would disappear, and wrote it in the timetable, put it in the rectangle, and he's no longer with us. So I got it done, and I'm not sure how I feel. I don't know if I feel remorse. I feel something. It scares me a little bit that I got it done so well, and I can carry on. They won't find that it was me that did it. They don't think a person did it. He's just gone. So I poisoned him, and he's gone. I did put in my original timetable that he would be in, I would know him for 19 years, which is the age of my son when he was killed. But I'm random. I pulled the date forward. I was like, he's going. Why is it early? I don't know. But he's gone, and I killed him. So you don't have to feel remorse for me or anything. I'm not sure. But yeah, things have been different this afternoon. The moment when they told me he's gone, I felt a bit different. But he's gone. That's another thing that I need to let you know is that I don't know how to say this, but my daughter doesn't know any of this. My ex-wife doesn't. Nobody at work does. But he's gone. There's something that you don't know as well, and it's this man is your son. I know you've told me that you thought he was living somewhere else. He's not. He's not even living. That whole time he's been living in maximum security prison with me, and he's gone. don't mind what you do. You can, don't mind what you say about me. You might want to tell some people. But I know your relationship was better with your son when you did know him, when he was really, really young. Not even a boy. But your relationship was better than him than it was with your relationship with your husband. But he's gone. Your son's gone. And I'm not sure. But I do appreciate our relationship. Look forward to your reply, and chat tomorrow. So that's maybe that makes me look more crazy when I smile after doing that. But that's my story. There's a few holes in it, and I was going a little bit slow in some parts because there's something else I was trying to remember. I think I covered it all. But yeah, that's the story. I thought I will speak and act that story rather than write it. Yeah, very open to feedback. The character, although I feel a lot of that character and stuff, the character is technically not me. I'm not a 60-year-old fireman who then went on to work in a maximum security prison. But yeah, the characters are really interesting to be able to explore concepts. I do a lot of men's work, and so there's a lot of themes of like fatherhood, I guess. Yeah, fatherhood. And I made the person made it his son, because I didn't want to mix it up with people thinking I was talking about my daughters. So yeah. Anyway, open to feedback. I know it's a bit of I don't know if it's a boring story or an intense story. I was putting a few pauses in there and I'm thinking, are these people going to get bored, or is these like very weighty, heavy pauses? Anyway, I enjoyed doing that. I think it's something I missed out of that version of it. Anyway, thanks for listening. Make sure you subscribe to Big Al's Story on YouTube and on Facebook. I'm a men's work leader, not a murderer. A men's work leader who helps men to reconnect, explore, and expand all those dark, deep places. And if you want to find out more about that, jump onto Facebook and just look up Alan Saunderson. If you want to hear more, I'm doing a lot of things at the moment. Doing a podcast as well, Connected Men's Podcast. And I'll have other real people in the room, make me look less crazy. All right, I'll leave it at that. It's 23 minutes. Thank you very much, and I'll see you next time.